Today is my girlfriend Mary's 6th time meeting my parents. My parents and I waited at the restaurant for a full 4 hours. During that time, I called her countless times, but no one answered. Just as I was about to make the last call, Mary's childhood friend, Ryan, posted a location check-in at a suburban hotel on his social media. The accompanying image shows a woman's snow-white back with a seductive red spider lily blooming on her exposed shoulder. A mutual friend teased, "First love couples are still the best to root for." I silently liked the post and commented, "Remember to be buried together after death and don't come back to cause trouble in the next life either." Just as the dishes were served, Mary's call came through and I hung up without hesitation. But the next second, she sent me a message. "Don't be irrationally jealous, okay? Ryan and I grew up together, and we'll be together until we're 80. So what? It's people with dirty minds like you who see filth everywhere. Besides, Ryan had some trouble here, so I came over to help him handle it. Who knew there would be a sudden heavy rain? He's not in good health, and I was worried something might happen to him, so I booked a room to shelter from the rain." I kept receiving similar messages afterward. The only thing she didn't mention was that she had agreed to have dinner with my parents today. I stopped looking at her messages, just feeling sorry for my parents. Looking up at my parents, I was filled with guilt. They were already old, but they took a special flight just to meet my girlfriend. Yet, Mary never showed up even once. My parents were very unhappy because Mary repeatedly failed to keep her appointments. But I liked her, so they kept enduring it again and again. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry. I made you come all this way for nothing again." Mom looked at me with concern while Dad said calmly, "This is a matter for you young people. I won't comment. You make your own decision. We're just here to visit you." My eyes instantly welled up with tears. In the 5 years I was with Mary, she never once accompanied me to visit my parents. She is a well-known lawyer who always says his time is precious and charges by the minute. But as long as Ryan made a call, she was willing to cross half the city to see him, even finding time to travel with him. Love or not, it's really very clear I was just deceiving myself all along. Sometimes letting go only takes a single moment. After seeing my parents off at the hotel, I got home at 11. Mary sat on the sofa with a dark expression. When she saw me come in, she confronted me about coming home so late. "Where have you been messing around? You didn't answer your phone or reply to my messages." I patiently listened to her accusations, then interrupted. "Do you even remember what you were supposed to do today? What could I possibly be doing today? Just going to work, right? Or do you want to—" Mary stopped speaking halfway through a sentence. "Sorry, Uncle and Aunt. Have you gone back tomorrow?" "Tomorrow? I definitely won't forget," I said calmly. "No need." After saying that, I went straight back to my room. After taking a shower, I turned off the light and covered myself with a blanket, ready to sleep when Mary came in. She had already taken a shower and was wearing a black chemist nightgown. As usual, she lay down beside me. "Are you still mad at me?" I turned my back to her and said nothing. Mary wrapped her arm around my waist and gently whispered close to my ear, "Darling, I'm sorry. This time it was my fault. Ryan had a car accident and called me. I was so anxious that I forgot." Seeing that I still didn't speak, she forcefully turned me around. By the moonlight, I saw the red spider lily on her shoulder and was reminded of Ryan's post on social media, which made me feel a wave of disgust. "What? Ryan didn't satisfy you?" Mary suddenly sat up straight, looking at me with a face full of anger. "George, are you never going to stop? Haven't I already explained everything clearly to you? I've even apologized humbly. What more do you want? I was even planning to take a day off tomorrow to spend some quality time with your parents." I listened to her condescending tone and looked at her calmly. "Mary, you don't have to force this. Let's break up." Leaving those words behind, I picked up a pillow and left the bedroom to sleep in the guest room. Mary was stunned for a few seconds, then slammed the door shut heavily to show her anger. The next day, just as I was about to ask my boss for leave to take my parents out, a message from my mom arrived. "Your dad and I are heading back first. You focus on work and come home more often when you have time." I was stunned for a moment and quickly called them. "Mom, why did you guys leave so soon?" My mom said gently, "Your dad was eager to go fishing with your uncle." All right, it's time to register. Let's leave it at that for now." Hearing the sound of the call being hung up on the other end, my heart was full of guilt towards my parents. The city where I work is not far from my hometown. It takes just over an hour by plane, but during that time I was only focused on Mary and rarely went back to accompany my parents. Suddenly a thought flashed through my mind, and I immediately got up to find the manager at the company. "Manager Song, I want to go to the Guangzhou branch." Manager Song was a bit surprised to see me volunteering proactively. "Why are you so eager today? I told you before to go, but you kept declining. As long as you go, the position of project manager at the branch will definitely be yours." I scratched my head and said, "Manager Song, I figured it out now. Nothing is more important than making money." Manager Song smiled satisfactorily and took a form out of the drawer for me to sign. After leaving the manager's office, I received a call from Mary. When I answered, her voice came through flustered and upset. "George, why didn't you wake me up or prepare breakfast for me? I have an important guest to meet today." I listened to her self-righteous accusations and laughed at myself. "Mary, I am not your babysitter. I have no obligation to do everything you say." "George, your wings are growing." I didn't want to hear her voice anymore and hung up the phone directly. Over the past 5 years, I treated Mary like a princess. I took care of all the daily meals and household chores and even prepared her clothes for bathing and changing. But all these years of effort made her take it for granted. And once I stopped, it was my fault for thinking this. I'm extremely grateful that I woke up early. After deciding to let go of Mary, my work efficiency improved a lot. Tasks that used to take me a whole day can now be completed in just over half a day. When I stepped out of the company after work, I realized it was raining outside. At that moment, I received a call from Mary. "You're off work, right? I didn't drive today. Can you bring the car home and come pick up Ryan and me?" Listening to her bossing me around with such confidence, especially regarding Ryan, I don't know how pathetic I must seem to him, driving back out to pick them up on a rainy day after getting home. No time. After saying that, I hung up the phone and took a taxi home. After returning home, I ordered a long-missed spicy hot pot. I really like eating spicy hot pot, but Mary said spicy hot pot is dirty and doesn't suit her status. She wouldn't eat it and also forbade me from eating it. But that day, I saw on Ryan's moments that she was wearing a black suit, sitting by the street with Ryan, eating the spicy hot pot she despised. It turns out her likes and dislikes vary from person to person. I was simply not an exception. While I was eating spicy hot pot and drinking beer, Mary came back with Ryan. When she came in and saw me so relaxed and comfortable, it was a stark contrast to their drenched and disheveled appearance. Mary was furious. "George, is this what you call being busy? Isn't it just that you didn't go to see your parents? Are they never going to have time in the future? Do you have to be so petty about this?" I didn't want to argue with Mary, but the things she said became more and more excessive. I was so angry that I suddenly stood up and smashed the beer bottle in my hand on the ground. "Enough, Mary. Don't go too far." The glass from the beer bottle splashed on Ryan beside me, which made Mary even angrier. She reached out and pushed me to the ground. Hiss. Blood instantly covered my entire palm, making it impossible to see how many wounds were on my hand. Seeing that I was injured, Mary became a bit flustered and started checking the wounds. The moment she came close, I smelled a strong fragrance. This scent was the perfume Ryan often used. I could almost imagine her hand wandering over Ryan's body, her face full of tenderness. I pushed Mary away with disgust, my gaze falling on the red mark on her neck. Mary noticed my gaze and nervously shielded herself with her hand. There have been a lot of mosquitoes at the company lately. You know, my skin is delicate. Ryan looked at me with a smug expression while agreeing with Mary. Mary's skin is really smooth and delicate. In this relationship, Ryan received Mary's true love. What I got was nothing but deception again and again. All right, stop worrying about these little things. They'll take you to the hospital. She looked at the wound on my hand, her face full of concern. But in her actions, there was no tenderness at all. She grabbed my injured hand and forcibly pulled me up from the ground. Pretending to be a caring girlfriend, she insisted on taking me to the hospital. I shook her off and calmly said, "No need. If you keep pulling me, you'll die even without going to the hospital." It was then that Mary realized she was holding my injured hand, but she still stiffly said, "Can't you speak like a normal person? Why do you have to talk so sarcastically?" I was too lazy to argue with her, so I just prepared to put on my shoes and go to the hospital by myself. But Mary wouldn't let me go. She insisted on taking me. When she dragged me to the car, Ryan beat us to the passenger seat, looking at me provocatively. "I get car sick and need to sit in the front passenger seat." "George, you don't mind, do you?" I ignored him and directly opened the rear door to get in. On the way to the hospital, I glanced around the car and noticed some unsightly things had appeared. For example, a close-up photo stuck in front of the passenger seat, basketball shoes in the back seat, a men's jacket, and so on. When I first started dating Mary, I casually left the doll in her car, and the next day, Mary threw the doll into the trash. She said she had a cleanliness obsession and wouldn't allow other people's things in her car. It turned out that not only was it a matter of principle, but Mary's cleanliness obsession was also a double standard. When I arrived at the hospital and the doctor finished treating and bandaging my wound, it was already 2:00 in the morning. I walked around the waiting area but didn't see Mary. I didn't call her either. I stood at the hospital entrance and started hailing a cab because it was the middle of the night and raining. I waited for an hour but couldn't get a taxi. I reluctantly called Mary. It was Ryan who answered, but after he said a word, the phone was taken away by Mary. Ryan clicked his tongue and said, "I'm going to take a shower. Hurry up." Mary seemed to have walked a bit farther away. "What's the matter?" I didn't hesitate and spoke directly. "I'm at the hospital entrance, can't get a taxi. Can you come pick me up?" Mary was stunned for a moment, as if she just remembered that she had sent me to the hospital earlier. "Wait for me a moment. I'll be there in 5 minutes." But after 10 5-minute intervals, 25 minutes, she still hadn't arrived. I laughed at myself bitterly, knowing I shouldn't have trusted her. I started hailing a cab again, and maybe heaven pitied me because this time I got a ride quickly. Well, I got home and just sat down. Mary came back right after. As soon as she walked in, she started questioning me. "Why didn't you wait for me? I'm hungry." "Make me something to eat. Cook another pot of seafood porridge. Ryan wants some. He'll bring it to him later. Hey, are you deaf?" I hadn't slept all night and got caught in the rain, feeling dizzy and lightheaded. My patience was gradually running out. "Are you crazy? We've already broken up. So, who are you ordering around here?" Mary looked at me in disbelief. "What did you say? You want to break up with me?" "Yeah, I told you yesterday." "Are you deaf or something?" Mary seemed to have heard the biggest joke in the world, and she actually laughed until tears came out. "George, did I hear that right? You want to break up with me? This time you prepared for a few days. No, just a few hours to ask me. I hope you can be tougher. At least hold out for 24 hours. I calmly looked at Mary, not blaming her for having such a reaction. Because of Ryan, I had several breakups with Mary before, but after a few hours I would miserably go to Mary to apologize, and beg her to get back together. Mary ignored me and walked straight into the bedroom, closing the door. I took out my phone and started looking for short-term rentals near the company. Manager Song informed me before leaving work today that the transfer order would come tomorrow, but the official transfer still depends on the notice from the branch office, which is expected to take about a month. I thought I could leave soon, but I didn't expect to have to wait another month. While searching for short-term rentals, I was also thinking about what things to pack and take with me. Since living with Mary, I had treated this place as home and bought many things, many of which I couldn't take with me. After much thought, I decided it was best to just take my personal belongings since I wouldn't be living in the city anymore, and those things wouldn't be of any use. I had arranged with the agent to view the house in the afternoon, so I went to rest in the guest bedroom. After waking up and coming out of the guest bedroom, Mary looked at me with an expression I couldn't understand. I didn't ask anything, just glanced at the time and went straight to wash up. Suddenly, she threw the cup in her hand onto the floor. Hearing the sound, I looked back at the broken pieces of the cup on the ground and smiled with relief. This cup was the first finished piece I made when I first became fascinated with ceramics. When I gave it to Mary, she laughed for a long time, saying that this kind of ugliness was truly one of a kind in the world. At that time, I seriously told her, just like my love for you, it is truly one of a kind. Now that the cup is broken, it means my relationship with her should end too. I didn't bother with the broken pieces of the cup after washing up. I put on my shoes and went out. Mary sat in the living room staring at my departing back, lost in thought for a long time. In the afternoon, I looked at several apartments and quickly settled on one, a fully furnished one-bedroom with a living room, and most importantly, just a 5-minute walk to work. I chose that house before for Mary's convenience to get to work. It takes me at least half an hour to get to work from there without traffic jams. At that time, I was wholeheartedly focused on giving, but I never expected this to be the outcome. I quickly paid the rent and deposit. I plan to move in tonight. The feeling of freedom and comfort is already beckoning me. After returning home, Mary was not there. I packed all my things into a large suitcase and left. By the time I finished tidying up the new house, it was already evening. Although I was very tired, my mood was cheerful. But the happy time did not last long. Mary's call came. I glanced at the time and could already guess the reason she was calling. It was nothing more than asking me to make her sobering tea and prepare bath water, but this time she wouldn't get that treatment. After answering the phone, Mary's surprised tone came through the receiver. "George, you moved out." I was a bit surprised. "Why did you come back so early today? Did you not have fun?" Maybe because I didn't respond, she called out again. There was a faint trace of panic in her tone. Probably because I misheard. "Yeah, we broke up. Living together wasn't good." "Did I agree to break up? Move back to me immediately. Where are you? He'll come pick you up in no need." "Mary, I'm serious this time," I said calmly. Mary said angrily, all right, George, don't regret this." After saying that, she hung up the phone. Regret? The only regret I have is not breaking up sooner. Now I can eat durian whenever I want, or stinky tofu whenever I want, without having to consider anyone else's feelings. And I no longer have to prepare 3 meals on time every day. The extra time could be used to improve myself because I realized I was already falling behind my colleagues at work. After being with Mary, I wasted a lot of time. Now I have to catch up. So the first thing I did was sign up for online courses. The first week after leaving Mary, I felt free and fulfilled. Just when I thought we had ended things, I received a call from one of Mary's friends. "Mary is drunk and she's shouting for you to come pick her up." I was stunned for a moment. "You must have dialed the wrong number, right? You should call Ryan. If you don't have his number, I can send it to you." Her friend was so shocked by my answer that she was speechless for a long time. After a while, she began to console me. "You've been together for so long. Don't be so petty. Otherwise, you'll have trouble later on." After I yawned, I cut her off directly. "Do you have anything else? If not, I'll hang up." Just as I finished speaking, I heard Mary scolding loudly next door. Suddenly, I remembered the time when Ryan had just returned from abroad. Mary would party and drink with that group of friends until the early hours. During that period, I couldn't sleep every night, worried that she might get into trouble for drinking. One day, I called her to ask if she needed a ride. Mary disdainfully said, "Why would you come to embarrass me? I can't drink and I can't handle the fun anyway." Since that time, I never mentioned giving her a ride again. I thought about it and found it quite pointless, so I hung up without hesitation and turned off the lights to sleep. The next morning, I woke up to more than a dozen missed calls and unread messages, all from Mary. "George, if you move back tomorrow, I can still pretend nothing happened. Who do you think you are? You get a chance to pick me up, and you refuse. Where did you learn this new trick of playing hard to get? You can't even compare to Ryan by a finger. If it weren't for you competing with Ryan for a study abroad spot, why would I have been with you?" Seeing this message, I was stunned. The puzzle that had been troubling me deep inside was finally solved. In my senior year, Mary suddenly added me on WeChat and asked if I wanted to be together. Although I was a bit confused about the reason, I still decisively agreed to a T. At that time, almost everyone in the school knew I liked her. From love at first sight in sophomore year to finally getting together in senior year, many classmates were shouting that they believed in love again. After being with Mary, she said she didn't like long-distance relationships. Being head over heels in love, I decisively gave up my chance to study abroad and even upset my professor a lot. I solemnly told the professor that I was going to pursue happiness. Mary was always indifferent to me. At that time, I thought this girl was so cool, completely unaware of how much I would suffer because of this coolness in the future. After graduation, I gave up job opportunities back in my hometown for Mary and stayed here, thinking we would be the perfect example from school uniforms to wedding dresses. But unexpectedly, I was slapped in the face. Later, I asked her more than once how she suddenly ended up with me. Every time she answered, it was because I was foolish. I thought it was a compliment, but it turned out it was really because I was foolish. I do not regret giving up everything for Mary because I have loved once sincerely and passionately. Thinking of this, I shook my head with a bitter smile. For Ryan, Mary was really willing to give everything, including herself, to make tea at that moment. The phone suddenly rang. It was Mary. I hesitated for a second, then answered. A weak voice came through the receiver. "George, I have a stomach ache. Come back. I have a stomach ache. Compress on it for me, and I still want to eat sweet porridge. When you're not here, no one makes me hangover soup. No one." I impatiently interrupted her words. "Mary, I'm not your babysitter. If your stomach hurts, go see a doctor. If you want hangover soup, make it yourself. I'm not that pathetic. After knowing the truth, I still gave you a chance to hurt me. Let's just leave it at that. Let's not contact each other anymore." After saying that, I hung up the phone, got up to wash, and get ready for work, almost late. If I were late, I would lose the perfect attendance bonus. As expected, nothing good comes from being involved with Mary. Luckily, I realized it early because I was preparing to transfer to a branch office. I spent the whole morning writing handover documents. I only took a glance at my phone during lunch break. After I hung up, Mary sent me a lot of messages. I hadn't had a chance to look when new messages came in. It was a picture of her lunch followed by a line, "The rice is so hard, not as good as what you make." I didn't reply. I swiped up again and saw the 3 words, "I'm sorry," which surprised me a bit. Mary is a very proud person. She rarely thinks she has done anything wrong. Even when she was wrong, she would shift the responsibility onto me. So, under her repeated emotional manipulation, there was a period when I lost myself and felt like I couldn't do anything right. Fortunately, Mary still didn't mind. Later, it was my mom who noticed something was wrong with me. She flew over from our hometown and comforted me carefully, and only then did I manage to break free from the vicious cycle. I barely managed to climb out of this muddy pit called Mary, so how could I possibly fall in the same place twice? After work, I unexpectedly saw Mary at the company entrance. I paused for a moment, then decided to pretend not to see her and went around to buy today's groceries. Mary called out my name as she chased after me. "George, I'm here to take you home." Feeling the frequent stares from my colleagues around me, I had to stop in my tracks. "Mary, what do you want to do? We have already broken up." She looked hurt. "George, I don't agree with the breakup. Please come back with me." I looked at her in confusion and asked, "I can't pose a threat to Ryan anymore. What are you doing? Is there still something about me that you want?" Mary's face instantly turned pale. "No. What I said yesterday was just nonsense because I was drunk. Although I started the relationship with you because of Ryan, as we spent time together, I realized I have fallen in love with you." "Really, George? I can't." Before she finished speaking, Ryan's exclusive ringtone rang. She hesitated for a few seconds, but eventually answered the call. The moment Mary answered the phone, I immediately turned and left. No matter the time or place, Ryan was always her priority. I should have understood this truth. Long days passed, and Mary did not appear before me again. After handing over my word properly, I decided to take a vacation and go on a trip. After thinking for a long time, I chose to go to the place where Mary and I had planned to graduate and travel together, Beijing. At that time, I spent a long time planning, booked the plane tickets and hotel. But on the night before departure, Mary said a friend had an emergency, and she flew abroad at the last minute. This plan has been put on hold ever since. After finding a place to stay in Beijing, I visited many places. On the first day, I got up at dawn to watch the flag-raising ceremony and also went to drink some fermented mung bean milk. I have to complain, I really couldn't drink it. Afterwards, I went to see the snow-covered Forbidden City, the Great Wall in winter, the story-filled old summer palace, and Shikahai at dusk. On the last day of the trip, I organized all the photos and posted them on my moments. I had a proper farewell with my youth. After returning to Shanghai, I began packing my things, preparing to leave. At that moment, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I realized it was Mary. She looked much more haggard than before. Her makeup and hair were no longer as refined, and she hadn't even put on lipstick. I looked at her in confusion. "Is there something you need?" Mary stubbornly said, "George, I'm here to take you home." I rolled my eyes at her. "If there's nothing going on, then just leave." Saying that, I was about to close the door, but Mary placed her hand on the door frame, stopping me from closing it. I impatiently kicked the door. "What exactly do you want to do?" "George, I know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. I love you, and I will make it up to you. If you don't like Ryan, I can keep my distance from him." "Okay." Mary looked at me pitifully, her eyes full of pleading. I sneered coldly. "Mary, don't you think your behavior right now is very contradictory? You say you love me, yet you've hurt me so recklessly all these years. If you don't leave now, they'll call security." Mary still refused to leave. She stared at me intently, as if she couldn't believe I would be so heartless. "Mary, we're already over. Is it fun to cling on like this?" I ignored her hand and closed the door directly. Just before the door closed, Mary's hand retracted quickly. I sat on the sofa, thinking about Mary's two strange actions. Why was she so persistent in wanting me to go back? I would never believe if she said she suddenly realized the person she truly loves is me. After sighing, I decided not to think about it anymore. After all, it was all impossible. At that moment, my childhood friend sent a message saying he had arrived. So I quickly got dressed and went out. The day after returning from Beijing, my childhood friend Wang Chun called to ask what my post on Moments meant. I told him everything, and he immediately said he would come to Shanghai to have dinner and drinks with me. I didn't expect him to come today. Wang Chun and I chose a popular hot pot restaurant together. After having a few drinks, I needed to go to the restroom. On the way back, I heard an incredibly familiar voice. If it weren't for Ryan liking the software he designed, how would I have gone to ask George? Sister Mary, sorry to trouble you. With that software, I can successfully work at Shawa. I will ask him out on Saturday. And then you... The rest of the words were too quiet to hear clearly. The software they mentioned is the one I started developing in my second year after graduation, and it was basically completed recently. Saturday, huh? I want to see what tricks you guys are up to. On Saturday, Mary was standing at my doorstep early in the morning, saying that even if there was no future for us, she still wanted me to spend her last day with her. I looked at her hypocritical appearance coldly, feeling a wave of disgust in my heart. But for the sake of my plan going smoothly, after she begged me for an hour, I still agreed. The moment I said yes, I didn't miss the flicker of triumph in Mary's eyes. Not long after I stepped out, I received a message on my phone. I glanced at it and lightly tugged the corner of my mouth. She took the bait. That day, Mary took me to the places we often went to when we first started dating. I kept looking at her, thinking that if she felt even a little bit guilty towards me, I would let her go. But she didn't. In the afternoon, Mary received a message on her phone. Without even looking, she stood up and said, "George, thank you for keeping me company today. The law firm has some matters for me to handle, so we'll head back first." After speaking, she quickly walked away without waiting for my response. It was obvious, without thinking, that Ryan had sent her a message saying he had succeeded. I leisurely finished the coffee in my hand before going home. Now just waiting to close the net. 2 days later, the industry released software, and its designer, Ryan, was hailed as a genius. Ryan quickly used this reputation to join Shang Yu as the development department manager. I watched the interview video he posted on social media and let out a cold laugh. "Ryan, you've laughed enough. The real show is about to begin." I didn't warn his next software company. Instead, I directly filed a lawsuit against him and registered a personal account to send a lawyer's letter. Because I was a new account, I didn't have many followers. Seeing that the lawyer's letter I sent did not receive an effective response, I spent money to buy traffic. Soon, the newly risen talented designer was caught up in a theft scandal. Netizens were discussing it widely. Some did not believe what I said was true and questioned me. I was fearless and revealed the developer signature that had been hidden in the software and also shared the screen recording of Ryan operating on my computer that day. Because I had been active on various software development forums, many designers in the industry knew my alias. Because of this matter, Ryan became known as a thief among everyone, so scared that he didn't dare to go out. When I opened a bottle of beer at home to celebrate this, Mary called. She said, "George, I beg you, please make a statement saying that this has been resolved privately. He's now hiding at home and doesn't dare to go out. If this continues, something bad will happen." I sneered. "Rats in the gutter can't come out to face people. When you all conspired to steal my stuff back then, didn't you think about this outcome?" Mary was silent for a few seconds after I spoke. "You know about this? Then why did you cooperate with me? And if you don't let go now, what good will it do to you when something goes wrong later? When you guys wanted to steal my software back then, did you ever think about what impact it would have on me? It was wrong of me to steal your software. Whatever compensation you want, just say it, and I will agree to it." When she finished saying this, I let out a breath. Fortunately, I had the foresight and had already started recording when she called. Everything she said was recorded by me. I didn't say much to her and hung up the phone immediately. Mary realized that I wouldn't let Ryan off, so she started buying traffic and online trolls to stir up trouble on the internet. She desperately tried to clear his name. But a thief is a thief. No matter how much he tries to whitewash it, the matter still stands, and the fact cannot be changed. With deep digging by netizens, Ryan's social media accounts were all uncovered. He had previously shared a lot about Mary, including many intimate photos of them taken at hotels and at home. The earliest traces can be traced back to when Ryan went abroad to study. He has quite a few fans, all of whom ship them. Because of this matter, the comments below have all changed completely. Seeing that things were getting more and more out of control, Mary began to point the finger at me, saying that I was the mistress who interfered in their relationship. At that moment, I confronted her head-on, organizing the timeline of our relationship, along with the messages she sent me when she was drunk and the recording of her last phone call, and sent them all out. For a while, not only was Ryan's reputation damaged, but Mary was also dragged into the mess. She was labeled as a scumbag. Her work as a lawyer was suspended, and even the cases she had previously handled were scrutinized under a magnifying glass. This investigation uncovered a problem. On the day Mary and I met our parents for the 6th time, Ryan was pushed down the stairs. Mary was the defense lawyer, and since there were no cameras near the crime scene and no concrete evidence, she used her years of case experience to surprisingly sue the victim for 150,000 yuan in compensation. During this incident, someone released a video taken unintentionally by a passerby near the crime scene. It was basically a dispute between the two of them. Ryan tried to push the other party down but failed and instead slipped and fell himself. Mary was caught up in a whirlwind of online abuse and her lawyer's license was revoked. After this battle, I packed my things and went to work in Guangzhou, returning to my family's embrace. At the same time, I blocked all of Mary's contact information. A week later, I received a call from an unknown number. "George, where have you gone? I went to your house to find you, but the landlord said you moved out." "George, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. I was deceived by Ryan. That's why I did such a thing." Mary's voice was full of frustration and regret. "You have the wrong number." After speaking, I immediately hung up the phone so that I wouldn't answer any calls from strangers. I wouldn't give Mary any chance to disgust me. Since being transferred to the branch office, I often worked overtime until very late. One day, after work, it was already past midnight. As I was walking home alone, a small car suddenly sped out and rushed towards me. At the critical moment between life and death, I was so scared that I stood still without moving. Suddenly, someone pulled me back from behind. The small car did not slow down and quickly disappeared into the darkness. The person who saved me acted as a witness, accompanied me to the police station to report the case, and gave a statement. After my parents found out, they drove me to and from work every day. In less than a week, the driver of the small car was caught. It was Ryan. He hated me for ruining his future, making him a public enemy, and even facing accusations of stealing others' achievements and extortion. Mary, for some unknown reason, was acting crazy, constantly looking for me every day, saying that the one she loved was me, completely ignoring Ryan. After losing everything, Ryan was mentally unbalanced and wanted to drag me down with him. Hearing this, I couldn't help but feel a bit wistful. Greed harms people, but their matters no longer concern me. Half a year later, my mom tricked me into going on a blind date. When I arrived, I realized it was the girl who saved me that day, Lucy. It turned out she was a friend of my mom's and a taekwondo instructor. Lucy is a very cheerful girl, and being with her feels very comfortable. The second time we met, she asked me, "George, can I be your girlfriend?" I fled in panic, and she began to pursue me relentlessly. A year later, Lucy officially visited my parents as my girlfriend. She stood downstairs at my house asking for the 10th time whether I had forgotten to bring any gift or fruit and criticized my inappropriate attire. I smiled and said, Just because you saved my life before? Even if you don't bring anything to my house, my parents will still like you very much." Who would have thought she would say to me with a serious face, "George, these are two different matters. Meeting the parents is not something to be taken lightly." Hearing this, I smiled with satisfaction. The happiness that belongs to me has finally arrived.